And what is up, YouTube? Today we are going over our Betrayal League. How fast is fast? Blood Aqua's racing. For those of you that are wondering, what the heck is this? It is a really dumb idea that it was a dumb question that I had during Incursion League, summer of 2018. Where I was just wondering, hey, what's the fastest a character can possibly get through blood aqueducts? Not get to blood aqueducts, not clear blood aqueducts, but simply to clear it. So blood aqueducts is the current edition of the chosen area where a lot of players will farm prior to getting to maps for a lot of different reasons. I'm not going to get into all of those here. But Path of Exile has a rich and storied tradition of instances that are farmable because of their layout reasoning, because of their drop rates, and because of their experience that's available for boosting or leveling a character prior to getting to the end game, whatever the end game has been in its various forms and iterations throughout the history of Path of Exile. So blood aqueducts are the present day zone whereby everybody goes and levels, or a lot of people choose to go and level their characters. So I wondered, what's the fastest character that we can possibly craft, that we can possibly use all of our currency on, to try and get them to go from the waypoint, the start point in Blood Aqueducts, to the clickable portal entering into Highgate. So that's the goal. The goal is to get to Highgate as fast as possible, running from the waypoint to the clickable entry into Highgate. You don't have to clear monsters. You can clear monsters if you so choose, but you don't have to clear monsters if you don't want to. It's just simply getting from waypoint to Highgate, and what's the fastest one that can do that. So I've got a couple of different characters that we've tested this out on. Our 4 contestants this league. I did this once during Incursion. I'm doing it now during Betrayal, and I imagine if I'm dumb enough, I'll do it again in the future. But our 4 characters this go around was a Witch Necro that was based on Flame Dash, using a couple of different Necro ascendancy points to lower some cooldown and to give some boosts for cast speed. One of them which gives 3% cast speed to yourself and to allies per aura that's on you. So I thought that would be great. I thought, hey, let's try and see what kind of cast speed setup that we can get in. And so went with Flame Dash. Those of you that are already scratching your head about that one, don't worry. You'll see in a minute what it looks like. Second, of course, Leap Slam. Leap Slam is a go-to movement skill that many people use when they're farming Labyrinth, as well as simply progressing throughout the game. It's a wonderful skill, especially for melee users. So we went with a Leap Slam setup that takes advantage of haste as well as the Prismatic Eclipse. Dual-wielding Prismatic Eclipse, and we just wanted to see how much attack speed we could get on that Raider to then Leap Slam and hop all through Blood Aqueducts. No surprise to anybody here. Spoiler, really fast. Third contestant was Body Swap Poet's Pen. This was my attempt at taking a normal character and then just saying, okay, what's a normal character that's a good build? This was a build that killed Shaper last league using the Indigan Hubris Circlet along with Xerfes and then Poet's Pen, Volatile Dead, Body Swap, using that whole Pathfinder setup and the abuse that used to be the abusive interaction that used to be between Wise Oak and Xerfes. Anyway, we just took a character that we said, hey, here's a good character that can go clear endgame content and is relatively fast at doing it. Let's throw them into the Blood Aqueducts almost as a base or as a baseline test. So here's a normal character and how quickly they can get from end to end. Let's test what they're like against everybody else. And then lastly, the Oxium Reverse Child. Wow, the Reverse Child. No, the Reverse Chill effect, which was really interesting. And I've seen a couple other folks use this to high rates of success, whether that's lab farming or racing in other contexts. So it's very interesting. It requires you to weapon swap, whereby you take some damage, you take some physical damage, and as you take that damage, you get this massive boost of speed because you have a reverse of chill of effect or reverse effect of chill going on. So anyway, that's a ranger and a pathfinder. So we've got a witch, we've got a ranger, Pathfinder, Ranger Pathfinder, and Ranger Necro. So this particular race was dominated by Rangers. I will try in the future maybe to branch out. I don't know. So Iron, if this is you watching this video in the future, try to do something without using Rangers, but it just seems like Rangers are the speedy boys. I don't know. Anyway, give it a shot. So here we go. Without further ado, let's take a look at the 4 contestants in action, along with some esports casting over top of it as we break down exactly each of these 4 contestants in their natural wild environment. Blood Aqueducts Racing. Here we go. All right, so our first contester is a Witch Necro with Flame Dash that has a cast rate of 5.13 per second. Now, those of you out there that are wondering, hey, wait a minute, Iron, 5.13 per second cast rate, what the heck? Flame Dash has got an internal cooldown as well as a set number of charges that it can use. And those of you that are wondering why on earth would we try this, well, we were trying to see exactly how fast it would be hypothetically with 3 subsequent charges on 3 subsequent uses back to back to back, just to see how fast it would be. And this setup was actually decently fast. We tried to reduce as much mana as we could, so that way we'd had plenty of mana charges, because as I was doing the setup, there was some mana sustain issues, but as you can tell, this actually was quite a fast run for a regular skill, and would be much faster if it didn't have those charges and the cooldown cap. All right, so our second racer is a Raider Ranger with 2 times Prismatic Eclipses, and it leap slams at a rate of 5.33 attacks per second. It is ridiculously fast, and as you are watching the footage right in front of you, you can tell that actually some of the difficulty of piloting this very, very speedy setup is actually not getting caught on corners and not clipping as you are turning, because that is the thing that's going to slow you down with this. This is by far one of the fastest setups, and it's ridiculous, especially once you generate a few frenzy charges. Our third racer is a Ranger Pathfinder Poet's Pen with body swap and unearth setup. Now, the reason why we wanted to attempt this was because we wanted to try a regular character, as though somebody could simply see what their regular base build that can take down the rest of the game's content, what would it expect to do as it's racing throughout Blood Aquas. As you're watching, a lot of the times there's inconsistency in the body swap and corpse movement explosion that interacts between unearth and body swap. That inconsistency is very, very frustrating to play as you're trying to race something like this. It simply adds an additional hiccup to the build that make for quite an annoying nuisance as you are trying to move speedily across a flat plane like Blood Aqueducts. You can see here this layout is the same layout that we have used, and it is the same layout for all 4 racers, but it's the same layout so far that you've already seen 2 other racers complete in a much faster time. Poet's Pen has just got a lot of trouble because of the targeting and because of where the corpses are located. It gets caught on a lot of stuff. And here towards the end of it, I simply just get frustrated and go, okay, well, I'm already over a minute. Let's just run it out, because I'm clipping on everything. And this is over a minute 12 seconds. I believe it ends at a minute 13 seconds as a running time. Just absolutely terrible. Our fourth and final racer is a Ranger Pathfinder that uses Oxium and Winterweave to reverse chill effect on yourself. We're also using a Smoke Mine at the beginning of our run to increase our move speed. This is a setup that requires a weapon swap. That's why you see myself taking a lot of damage and getting a life boost. We'll talk more about this specific setup in just a moment here in the video, but bottom line is this is a ridiculously fast move speed character that can break all sorts of records. Results of the race, we've got 2 builds that performed at a much higher speed than the 2 slower builds. However, I do think there is some room and some potential for the Flame Dash build. So let's talk mechanics here just really quickly. So first off, the body swap Poet's Pen, of course it's going to do the worst. It's the one that we put the least amount of work in terms of actually gearing it for this particular attempt, because we wanted to maintain the sanctity of that character as much as possible, to say, if this is just a regular character giving us a regular baseline using some regular popular meta skills, what does it look like to run from end to end in Blood Aqueduct? So about a minute 13 seconds. Well, when you compare that with Flame Dash at 50 seconds, Flame Dash really doesn't perform that much better. However, I did say earlier in the video that I think Flame Dash has got the potential to perform at a much, much higher rate. And obviously this would be a massive mechanical change to Flame Dash. But if there was, and a couple of me and guildmates, a couple of us were chatting about this, if there was a unique that somehow interacted with the number of maximum Flame Dash charges that you could store or a unique that somehow reduced global cooldown, which would reduce the cooldown recovery effect on charges, or if there was any other way in which essentially you could scale the numeric number of charges that you could store. So maybe you only could store 3, but then like maybe you just permanently have a minimum base of 1. I know that you might be thinking, oh, well, Iron, what would be the difference between having like an infinite number of charges that goes up versus having a minimum base of 1? Well, think about it in the way how that the game interacts with minimum stacks of frenzy charges, minimum stacks of endurance charges, minimum stacks of power charges. There are ascendancies and whole character passives and whole builds that are built around either stacking a bunch of minimum amounts of something that increases your abilities based on that, or interacts in some way that's unique and challenging and build enabling. And so I think it would be really interesting to see, because the witch, when she's flame dashing and she's got 3 flame charges up, or flame dashes up, it is ridiculous how many screens she can clear and how quick it goes. And I actually had to take some of the cast speed out of that build in order to make the mana reservation and the mana cost, actually work on that. So I think there's a lot of potential there with Flame Dash. Lightning Warp, I tried Lightning Warp just really quickly, and it did not scale nearly to the speed rate that Flame Dash did. I do think somebody can come up with a character that can use Lightning Warp that would be much, much faster than that Flame Dash at 50 seconds. I just wasn't able to figure it out or give time to it on this particular run. Hopefully I'll revisit it in the future. So our 2 best performing builds are the Leap Slam Ranger Raider, which I think these 2 builds really should be seen as interchangeable as like 1 and 1A, because I think if you watch that video clip of the Leap Slam Raider Ranger, there's a lot of times where I'm clipping on walls or where I'm clipping as I'm turning, and in a 24-second timetable, clipping once or twice matters a lot. That's a second or 2 off of pace. Another thing to consider with the Raider Ranger is the Raider is getting a lot of attack speed based off of endurance charges, and the stats that I included on the screen of it attacking at a 5.33 rate, that's not with all of its endurance charges up or with its Soul Thirst activated with a bunch of stacks on it. So I think if you build with a little bit more damage, which I did not build for any damage, obviously, but I think if you build with a little bit more damage, maybe you lose out on a little bit of your initial base attack speed. But in the long run, you're actually going to have a lot more attack speed because you're going to be able to stack Soul Thirst, and you're going to be able to stack those maximum frenzy charges. So I think there is a give and take here where there is a lot more room to min-max the Raider Ranger with Leap Slam to actually go sub 20 seconds on that. The Oxium Reverse Chill Ranger Pathfinder was fascinating. So this particular interaction is incredible to read. So what it does is, let's see if I've got this pulled up here. Yep, we do. So the interaction is in between Winterweave and then taking some cold damage as physical. So Winterweave says the effect of chill on you is reversed, and then we've got this corrupted shield. The rest of the shield doesn't matter, but it's corrupted with 7% of physical damage from hits taken as cold damage. So when I weapon swap with this particular setup, because of the Heartbound loop that you take 350 flat physical damage taken on minion death, because I am weapon swapping with this with a weapon that triggers level 20 Spectral Spirits when equipped. Notice that's not on kill, that's when equipped. So when you're weapon swapping, you're summoning Spectral Spirits, and then when you weapon swap off of it, they die, which then kicks in and deals 350 physical damage to you, which then kicks in and you take 7% of that as cold damage, which means in effect that you are chilled, and now the effective chill is reversed on you. So what exactly is the effective chill? Well, simply put, chill slow is capped at 30%. Increased effective chill will decrease the life threshold it takes to go over the cap. For example, with 100% increased chill effect, dealing cold damage equal to 5% of the target's maximum life or more will slow by 30%. Okay, when you are chilled by reversing this slow effect, it's a gain in your movement speed. Okay, so rather than being slowed by 30%, you're increased in your speed by that amount. So it is a ridiculous amount of speed that gets added. And then of course there's all these other things that are built in here. Here you've got 7-Step League, you've got the Oxium, which of course interacts with you as you flip. Then you've got the chill effect that of course is proccing off of that, is because of your energy shield being so low. Then of course you've got Veruso's battering ram, which gives you a bunch more movement speed. You've got all these other things that just give you movement speed. The allure, the Vol Claw, which gives you 15% increased movement speed while you're phasing, and of course we're phasing a lot because of our flasks. Then you've got Devoto's Devotion up here, and then I've got 36% increased phase run duration on this. So there's just a ton of move speed built into this character. It is incredibly fast to run through, and again, the results show for themselves. 22 seconds getting through Blood Aqueducts, and I think it could be even faster. Again, all 4 of these runs were done on the exact same layout of Blood Aqueducts in order to have a baseline, so that way we weren't worried about, oh well, this particular setup, oh Iron, what about this particular setup, maybe your Raider guy was running on a Blood Aqueducts that had 2 less turns or had 20 less screens. No, they were all the same. It's all run on the exact same layout, so that way we had consistency across the board. So I think when we're looking at the Oxium and comparing it with the Leap Slam, the difference between these two things are that the Leap Slam could have improved in running. I'm not a speed runner by any imagination, and my mechanical gameplay is so much an old man playing video games. So I think with somebody that's got a little bit more talent, a little bit more time, and a little bit more refinement to rerun the same layout, I think the Leap Slam could go much faster, sub 20 seconds, and I think the Oxium Reverse can go much faster. I think that could probably get to near 10 seconds running across the entire length, between increased duration, between keeping your phase run up, between having your smoke mine be leveled up. I think I was using a low level smoke mine, so my increased duration on smoke mine really wasn't even that effective. And you can see early on a couple of times I just miss weapon swapping and I hit my flasks. So again, am I saying here, oh no, I need to go rerun all this? No, I'm simply saying these are some really fast setups that I run rather poorly, and I still got 22 seconds and 24 seconds and 50 seconds respectively. And if we had a couple of tweaks here and there, like Unique that allows us to break Flame Dash a little bit, if we maybe are a little bit more refined in our Leap Slam positioning, and if maybe we don't fat finger our flasks and our weapon swaps quite as much, each of these times could improve considerably. Anyway, there you go. Those are the results. I hope you enjoyed our Blood Aquas Racing for Betrayal League. I certainly enjoyed it. This project took like a good 40x. When you total everything up on all of the characters, it's going to be almost 100x in value, if not more, in Standard League, because the Poet's Pen build is like, seriously, there's like 50 to 60x worth of gear on that character. But other than that, the rest of the characters, I spent about 20x across the board building those characters, which was really funny. Most of that was in gems. A couple of purchases that were fun for the Witch were these singularities to reduce the mana cost of skills as well as boost cast speed. This Skin of the Loyal, that was fun to pick up. And then I also picked up a level 21 Flame Dash, even very low level faster casting support, because ultimately I just decided, oh, the faster casting really doesn't matter. Swift Affliction that helped with reduced duration and less duration. Again, so I think there's some things here that could be improved with the Flame Dash, but these were some fun things. Here was my Alpha's Howl, actually, from our 100 plus Alpha's Howl corruptions that we ran, and it turned out, hey, one of those was actually useful because we threw it with our level of auras, so our haste was much further increased in level, as was our clarity. But this was a fun test. It was fun to mess around with these characters. I was really surprised. Honestly, my biggest surprise was the Raider with the double prismatic eclipse. I thought it was going to be fast. I didn't think it was actually going to be able to compete with the reverse chill character, and it was pretty close. I think there would be some ways to min-max that out. So anyway, leave us a comment down below. What did you think of Blood Aqueducts Racing? What sort of characters can you theory craft that could break that? If you want to try out Blood Aquas Racing, or you've got a suggestion for us to try out next time around, feel free to leave us a comment down below. I always love interacting with all of your comments and your theory crafts and your suggestions. I really appreciate it. So I hope that you're having a great day today and enjoyed the video, and I hope that today is a day that a Mirror of Calandra drops for you while you are Blood Aquas Racing in Act 9.